still love coral, right? At least one of you do, because I got a request to review it on Color Quickie, the premier paint color show on YouTube. I'm of course James, the color guy, and Coral Island is a Sherwin-Williams paint color that we're going to look at today. Not only that, I'm going to give you some options to paint your trims and some color pairings to paint your walls with, all for the low price of like button press. Now, even though it seems like color trends are transitioning away from reds and corals and oranges to blues, that doesn't mean coral is all of a sudden out. It's still a color category that a lot of people gravitate towards, and I think Coral Island is a great example of one that has some saturation to it. It's a color that feels really fun and engaging. In terms of its technical aspects, it is a lot darker than you might think. It seems like a color that has a lot of energy and life to it, which it does, but that mainly comes from how vibrant it is. It only reflects 36% of the light that hits it, which puts it in the bottom half of colors darkness wise. So even though it feels like it's a color that will brighten up a space when you use it, it'll only really do that effectively if you have a decent amount of natural light or a lot of great room lighting to sort of enhance it. Now, some of these coral colors can be a little more orange dominant. I find Coral Island to be on the more red side of things. It has a little bit of a clay feeling to it. It's not as punchy as some of the more saturated and coral forward colors that exist. So it will suit interior spaces pretty well. It'll feel like an accent color. It'll stand out, but not obnoxiously so. It doesn't feel like a pop art color. I do see this in spaces like dining rooms or maybe bathrooms, areas that you go in and out of and don't really spend a ton of time in. Because of the red aspect, it will feel pretty engaging and it might get taxing after a while. So I guess the seldom used rooms, or if you want to use this in the form of your decor, like throw pillows and textiles, pieces of artwork to sort of be your accent color, you can incorporate it in ways other than painting your walls with it. What are some great trim options for Coral Island? Of course, we have two, as we always do on this channel, a light and a dark choice. My light trim color choice is Ibis White. This will be for the majority of people that just want clean white trim. It's not the cleanest and brightest and starkest white that Sherwin-Williams makes, but I think it suits Coral Island a lot better than a bright white. It has just a little bit of warmth, feels like a very light creamy color that just is soft and subtle, but will still work with all the colors that I'm going to talk about in this video. A darker trim option that would work really well in my opinion is Spalding Gray. And even though it says gray in the name, this one does feel a little more like a taupe to me. It's a very brown forward gray, or a brown that has been toned down a little bit with gray. And the reason I went with this is I didn't want to pick a darker coral or a deep red, which will feel too monochromatic. This one has a little bit of a red undertone to it, so it's still within that same family, but much more neutral feeling, being brown based. Not only does this work as a great trim color on your doors and on any wainscoting you might have or whatnot, it also can be a great wall color too. So there's just a bonus for you. All right, trim colors done. What about other color pairings? 3 color pairings that you can use in different rooms in your home or even in the same space, just as long as you do it properly. Choice number 1 is a lot more neutral than Coral Island. It is Eater White. And this is another off-white, kind of like Ibis White, although this one has a little more to it. It's a little bit darker of a white, which is funny to say, and it has a cool feel to it. So it's going to complement Coral Island's warmth. It'll very much pop off of it, which I think is nice. A 73 LRV, so that's a good spot to be in if you want something really light and bright to reflect a bunch of light back into your space. I have a bias towards using Eater White and colors like it in things like hallways, the connecting parts of your home that are going to be attached to a variety of different colors in different rooms within your space. It's important to have something a little more passive, I feel, in a hallway because it's going to connect to so many different rooms in your home, whether they're separated by a door or not. So yeah, Eater White, great choice for that if it were me doing the color consultation. So Eater White is kind of your main color. What about a secondary color? What about Escape Gray? Now, just like the dark trim color in this video, another color that has gray in the name, but it's more of a grayed out color. And in this case, we got green. Sort of a sagey color, a cooler leaning green. And the reason I picked it is because green is very complementary to red or coral. So this is gonna have a very polarizing relationship with Coral Island, which means you wanna use one a lot more than the other. And for a lot of people, it'll probably be Escape Gray being the room color, and then Coral Island being the little accent here and there, whether it's in the form of a beautiful painted piece of furniture or whatever the case may be. If you flipped it around and let's say put Coral Island in a bathroom and then had Escape Gray as that secondary color, that supportive color, that would work too, because you're not gonna be spending a ton of time in a powder room. Looking at coral for a couple minutes versus a couple hours in your family room, big difference. Color pairing number 3 is another accent color, although this one has a very different feel to Coral Island, pretty much the antithesis of it, really. It is called Mount Etna.
My God, you've gotten fat.
And this is a 6 LRV, deep, dark teal charcoal blue. A beautiful combination of cool green and blue coming together in a really dark, rich color. This one is an interesting one because you may not even notice the hue very much because of how dark it is, but it is there. It is super saturated in blue and green. It coordinates really nicely with the other color pairings, and then when you pair it with Coral Island in any way, shape, or form, very complementary. You have cool and warm, deep dark, and not quite as dark coming together. Extremely fun pairing, and there's a lot of cool ways you can incorporate them together. Here's the color palette all together in its glory. What do you think? And we got more colorful content right over here.